We are 2 weeks away from 2026, and this podcast episode is all about how to get you in the right situation to purchase a home next year. From the starting point to talking to your lender to the closing costs and what comes after, we're here to give you all the insight of what it takes and the strategies included. Stay tuned.
Happy podcast day.
Happy podcast day.
That was in sync.
Yeah, you can say it now.
Happy podcast day.
Aaron, go ahead. Our fearless leader has an appointment today. You're obviously sitting at the helm. We think we missed you last week as well.
I was standing right outside.
You were standing outside?
Yeah.
Well, we missed you. So welcome back, Aaron.
Thank you.
Kick us off today. How are we feeling?
You were with me at the open house 2 weeks ago. You were with me 3 weeks ago. You were with me this week. And you 100 groups through, 100 groups through, 100 groups through, and then kind of slower this past weekend. But
What's slower, though?
25, 30. I mean, not like bad, but a lot of people coming through. Buxton went $400,000 over list price. Working on getting this one $300,000 over list price. But I think next year is going to be a little bit bananas like we saw earlier this year. Thoughts?
Same predictions. Yep. I think, and not only having a lot of groups through the open house, when we talk to those people, a lot of them are either first-time home buyers or kind of step-up buyers, like people looking for more space. And I think a lot of people are getting ready for 2026 because I think the overall lens that they're looking at is that they're bullish on the market and people are kind of positioning themselves to take advantage of the market early 2026.
I agree. This is the first year in a long time that the tech stock market has outperformed the Bay Area real estate market.
I was actually just talking to someone about it the other day, and they were like, "Oh yeah, when you put it that way, you know, the real estate market has not really caught up with the movement of stock. When the stocks went down, real estate kind of fell off, and then since then we've been recovering, but stocks just bounced back quicker than real estate did."
A lot of super cash heavy buyers, right? Like 40% down on $2 million seems to be pretty normal.
Right.
But a lot of confused buyers. Talk to us.
So like I said, we had a ton of groups come through these last 3 weeks of open houses. Like Aaron just said, hundreds. And a lot of them were first-time home buyers or haven't bought a house in a long time. So, and we're meeting with a lot of them. We're kind of going through the process. So I wanted to ask you boys, when you're meeting with a buyer for the first time, or if someone's listening that's like, I'm thinking about buying a house, it's a big process. It's a big decision. Let's take them through start to finish. So like you meet them at the open house or you meet them through your sphere, you get referred or something like that. Like what's your first step? How are we getting this going? And then we can kind of go all the way down to the house closes.
I think the first question that they should ask themselves is why? Why do you want to buy a house, and does it make sense for what you want to do? Can you get what you want? That sort of thing.
Yeah, to piggyback that, the question of why and what you're comfortable with paying per month, I think is a big question. Obviously, with buyers, it's easier to work backwards when you know what you're paying. You can determine if you need to find a different price point, determine whether or not you need more money down. You can make the game plan off of your motivation and your payment plan.
Yeah, and then figuring out needs and wants. Once you figure out your why, once you figure out, what your monthly payments look like and what you're pre-approved for, finding out what your needs and wants are, where your commute is, if you need good schools, what kind of a house do you want or need, and then based on that, coming up with a plan of searching for homes.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is it's the why, like, so why are you going to move? And then I think a lot of you guys have said kind of budget and pre-approval. So how, I guess, can a lender make or break a deal? Like how important is the lender specific?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. A lender can make or break a deal. If you choose to not work with a lender that we know, we're kind of at the mercy of you, the buyer, right? Like we have no real additional pull. We don't know them. They don't know us. So I always recommend trying to work with someone that we've, used before.
Yeah, I think a lender is just as important as your real estate agent, especially when it comes to submitting offers. Lenders in this area have great relationships with a lot of the agents out here. So again, just to have that backing and support. Obviously, the communication is huge too. You want someone who's on the phone just as much as we are. So a lender is very important and should be taken seriously.
Yeah, like piggybacking off of what Ben and Aaron said, I think when you have a good lender on board, not only do you feel confident making offers because you have a pre-approval, they've gone through your files, they've underwritten you, so you get that sense of confidence that once your offer does get accepted, that everything's going to go smoothly. But also when you're on that offer table competing with 3 to 5 offers, if the lender calls the listing agent before the listing agent gets a chance to call the lender, if that lender is proactive that way, it really helps set your offer aside. So just as proactive as of a realtor that you need a lender that's also similarly matches that energy and gets you that step up compared to the other offers on the table.
Okay, love it. So I'm hearing you're starting the process. So it's why. Now we're at financing, so we want to see how much you can afford before we go shopping.
Real quick too with the lenders, for buyers out there who I think have a misconception about working with one lender and then not being able to bounce around rates with another lender because it's going to tarnish their credit score and everything. Once you start working with a lender, it opens up basically a 45-day window that allows you to talk to these different lenders. Most of the time, these lenders don't necessarily need to do hard credit checks to get the ball rolling. And a transparent lender should be able to tell you whether or not they can compete against other lenders that you've already talked to. If you have a lender who's trying to string you along and pull information to make it work, most of the time it's not going to work, or it's going to be harder in the long run. A good lender should be able to tell you very transparently whether or not they can compete.
And let me ask you, if someone's out there like, I've never been pre-approved, is that like a week-long process, 2-week-long process?
I think that question goes right back to the previous question. Like, is your lender important? There are a lot of lenders who can get it done within 24 hours. You do, again, buyers that see homes online, now you get like Zillow Mortgage, you get your Redfin Mortgage, you get, all these different companies trying to reach out to you. Again, they might not even be in the same time zone. So lenders in different areas will take a lot longer, to produce that pre-approval. And like what Aaron said, if we don't have the relationship with them, we can't light a fire under them if we need it quicker. Right. There are many times when we go into an open house and we'll have a lender working with us, offer deadlines on a Tuesday. Our lender can turn around in 24 hours to make sure that offer is written, and it can be written non-contingent. So again, it could happen in 24 hours, and if your lender's saying it's going to take 3 to 4 days, talk to us. We can give us a call. Find another referral to you.
Yeah, like we have lenders that you connect with in the morning, and by evening you have a letter, and you're good to go with an offer next day.
And I think, again, with how quick a lender can move, the buyer has to be motivated throughout this process. You got to get the lender the proper paperwork and documentation. If a lender asks for a list of items and you don't get it to them for a week, obviously it's going to take them a week. But if you're a buyer that has the paperwork ready and available to hand over, it can be expedited.
Cool. Yeah. What do you think, Jace?
You guys are all saying this. We'll keep going. All right. Yes. All right. So we have discovery. Why? What are you looking for? We have financing, right? Which is going to come next. So like we know what we're looking for, because obviously going along with the offer is going to be a pre-approval. If someone's sitting out there, okay, cool. I know what I want. I'm pre-approved. How do I see homes? Do you send them to them? Do they send them to you? On market, off market? Do we go to the house? Do we only go to open houses? Like what are those conversations like?
I think this question is probably a different answer from maybe a different marketplace, right? Like let's just say something more local, like San Diego or LA. There's way more houses to choose from, right? So those agents probably, send out the houses, that sort of thing. I like to do it a little bit differently, as you guys probably know. If the buyer sees something that hits their interest, boom, ping me on Redfin. If I see something, boom, push it through like Zillow, Redfin, whatever platform, but just text, because there's not that much. And I'll eventually see it, but sometimes my buyers see it before me, right? Like we're looking every day, but like, okay, maybe we have 10 buyers. So sometimes they see it before me, but then as far as seeing things, I always try to see it before them or see it with them, especially in the beginning. And then I have a very clear sense of like what you don't like. And I think that buyers get super fatigued because they try to see everything. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like I always tell you, don't let them see things that we know aren't a good fit because then they get tired and then they wonder like, why am I here, right? So if we know that they don't want to back to a parking lot or a school or a church or something like that, say, hey, this isn't a good house for you. And that's what buyers ultimately want. So I'm like kind of going on a tangent, but a lot of new agents, they're like, oh, I want to go into real estate. And then if I ask why they want to go into real estate, because I'm so good at selling things and like convincing people things. But you know what people want? People don't want to be sold, right? They want us to say, hey, here's all the red flags with this house. This is why you shouldn't buy it. And then they will decide if they want to buy it or not, right? No one wants to be sold. So I always say go with them privately in the beginning, and then like once everyone has on the same page and has a clear understanding of what you like and don't like, then you can start looking at open houses. But you have an exclusive relationship together anyway, so no one's going to bother you or do weird things, something like that.
Yeah, I would say my answer.
That makes sense.
That made sense.
Absolutely.
My answer, I think, falls back on motivation for the buyer and where that buyer is in their timeline. So I think new buyers that come in that haven't looked at homes, that haven't purchased a home before, I am more willing to show them the homes that don't fit their needs to make sure they understand. Like, again, like Aaron said, if you don't want to be back to a parking lot, and you want to, and let's say you want to see something in the neighborhood, I don't think it's bad to start off and just say, again, listen to the sounds, understand what this is. So if a previous property pops up, we know we can divert on it. If they're a buyer who's been in the market for a while or a buyer who's purchasing their second home and they know the area and location they want to be in, I'll narrow that search down a little more and be a little more specific on which properties we should be looking at and going after, especially if it's like priced a certain way or backing to a certain area. But I like to get my clients, the motivated ones, on the MLS. You know, there's a lot of different websites and syndications that buyers get set up on. We, as agents, have the opportunity to stick buyers on the back end of our MLS so they can see what we see. Off market's coming soon. So again, if they want an advantage in the market and they want to see things that the public can't see, it's a great platform to be on. And again, if we see something, you see something that you like, depending on the nature of it, again, we're very transparent. We're going to tell you what you need to hear, not necessarily what you want to hear. And we make the decision from there.
Amen.
Yeah, I think they covered pretty much everything, but yeah, just figuring out what's on the market. I always say it's a team effort between them and I to find the properties. I think back in the 80s, 90s, there used to be like a book with all these properties that would be issued every few weeks. But you know, right now the access to information is so great that you can, you know, you get new alerts of properties coming on the market every day, every hour. So that there's a good chance that they've seen that property before I have. So I always say like, hey, finding the right property is going to be a team effort, but I'm really going to focus on my relationships with other agents to find you what properties haven't hit the market yet, and also the off-market portal on the MLS, and we'll try to leverage that to find you more opportunities than what you just see on Zillow and Redfin. So that's where my value addition comes in. But there are a lot of clients that still think that, you know, your job is just to open the door and send them properties and find them the right property. But I think it's become more of a team effort, and having someone that talks you out of properties, like Aaron said, then talks you into them, is very important through this process.
So what happens if you're touring properties and you don't like that agent after 3 months? What should someone do?
Like if you're a buyer and you don't like your agent after 3 months?
Yeah. Touring, they're trying to convince you, they're pushy, you're not vibing.
Walk away.
Walk away.
Walk
can
away.
do that.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
You know, and again, as a buyer, when you look at these contracts that you're signing with agents, make sure you're reading what they're putting in there. Now with the new BRBCs, you have these extensions where
What's a BRBC?
Oh, this is good. As a buyer, you now sign an agreement with your agent, like a seller does with their listing agent. It's a buyer representation agreement, and it usually comes with a cancellation clause.
BRBC, Buyer Representation Broker Commission, right?
Compensation.
Yeah.
Same thing.
But yeah, you can walk away depending on what it says in the contract. Some agents, you know, again, I think if you're an agent who has confidence in yourself, you know, you don't necessarily need to put a 2-week cancellation period. If you're not doing your job, you should, you know, look yourself in the mirror and understand that you're not doing your job, you know. And Jeep brought up a good point earlier. It's like you want an agent that works for you, not with you. You don't want someone that just opens a door and agrees with you. You want someone that's going out there. finding the homes, building relationships, door dropping, cold calling. And if you're not doing that, I mean, your buyer has every right to walk away.
Cool.
Yeah. It's basically an agreement that you sign up with, test out each other, right? And then if things don't work out, you can always walk away after that period's over.
And who pays you guys as the buyer's agents?
Yeah, that's a great point. It's all negotiable. Sometimes we've had cash buyers that opt to pay out of the closing cost, the whole buyer's agent fee. Other clients, especially first time home buyers, are working with 20% down. If they do put that additional 2.5 or 3% out of their closing costs to pay for the buyer's agent, they oftentimes don't qualify for the highest amount they could, or they go under that 20% threshold that could trigger a private mortgage insurance or add costs on a monthly basis. So a lot of clients opt for the seller to pay. And out of the last 60, 70 transactions we have done as a group with buyers, I think 99% of the time the sellers paid the buyer's agent compensation. So it's not really a burden to the buyer.
Same for me. This whole sellers not paying buyers thing is kind of
Not a thing.
not a thing. It's a headline grabber.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that lawsuit that came about to make all of this happen was very attention grabby, headline grabby, and then I think part of it was good. There should be a very clear, who's representing who, and I frankly I like it. You and I from the beginning, you were like, oh wow, like before you could just talk to Jeet, talk to Ben, talk like who's representing who. People are like fighting, but now it's like this guy is represented by Jeet, this lady is represented by you. This person is represented by me. They know what they're signing up for. They know the expectations, and it's ultimately allowed for more transparency with a true buyer consultation, like kind of what we're having here, prior to shopping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the next one?
Real quick on that too. Jeep mentioned this. We were talking about this the other day. Just for the buyers, if you have an agent that tells you, as a buyer, you can pay the commission and write it off in your taxes, that's wrong. You're not getting any advantage doing that. So don't listen. Don't listen to that. The only way you're writing off commission and closing costs is if you're a seller. So if you got some buyer agent coming up to you and telling you it's a good thing, pay me, you get a write off.
Beware.
No, that wasn't on last week's podcast with tax write off. So that's not going to go on there.
All right. So discovery, financing. How are we looking at houses? Cool. We found the one. Okay. Hey, Aaron, thank you so much for showing me all these houses. I want to write an offer on that one. What the heck do I do now?
Okay. I'm going to reverse the question a little bit. So let's say we are out looking at houses. The house came on a Wednesday. We're seeing it on a Thursday. We know we want to buy it. It's a super hot property. It's listed at $1.6 million in Cambrian. I'm seeing that there's like this weird thing called an offer date.
Good luck.
There's this thing called an offer date. We go through the reports. Like, what you tell us? Like, what does this mean? Do I have to wait to submit an offer? Do I submit my offer on Thursday? Can I submit on the weekend? There's like supposed to be 100 groups of people on the weekend. We found the one.
Yeah. What's the tactic?
Well, you tell me.
Oh, okay. Got it.
I was trying to tee you up.
Oh, sorry.
We've been doing all the talking.
Okay. So the thing in this, or the biggest thing I think our team has going for us is relationships with listing agents. We do a lot of business in the county, in the area. So a lot of times we'll know, or one of us will know who the listing agent is. So kind of the first thing we're doing is we're calling and we're taking the temperature. Hey, what's going on? How's activity? What's like the plan? All this kind of stuff. Usually if it's a good price house in Cambrian, they went on 1 week, they're going to take offers like the following, let's say Tuesday or Wednesday. Unless we get like a, hey, like this guy's super motivated, here's the number, you get me this right now, like for like a preemptive offer, we're usually going to wait till the offer date. And why we do that is because if we submit an offer too early, we can have the offer used against us. So if we submit this, so everyone's going to be calling like we're doing, saying like, hey, how's it going? Do you have any offers? All this kind of stuff. Well, if we're in there, they're going to say, oh yeah, I got one from Ben at 1.65. And they're going to instantly go, okay, cool, I'll come in at 1.7 or whatever. So they're going to use our offer against us for all the other competition. So we usually want to wait until, let's say, that Wednesday at like 10 a.m. So Wednesday at 10 a.m. comes, we never want to be the first person to submit an offer. So maybe 9:45 or so, we're calling the agent, hey, what's activity look like? And trying to gather as much info as possible, seeing what they'll give us. I have this many offers, the highest one is around this, or, whatever. And then we go back to the buyer and kind of come up with a game plan. Some agents are cool, like, yeah, just get in the game and we'll keep you posted. And, then we figure out like where to go from there. But we always want to be the last offer in.
Yeah. And just like a listing agent has a strategy with the sellers, the buyer's agent has a strategy with their buyers, right? So say that the listing agent's going to jerk everyone around. I will always get into the game low and then tweak my offer based on what's coming, because you don't want to negotiate against yourself, right? If you're hedging that there's 7 offers coming in and then only 1 offer comes in, we don't have to go to that that number anymore. So the more that you can save your buyers, the better, right? So we treat their money just like our own.
Yeah, and back to what Jason was saying about the relationship with the other agent, I think that's super important when setting expectations with your buyers. And again, it's like you said, you go into these situations, some agents who are working with buyers out here who don't have the relationships will, they'll tell their buyers, jump in with a certain offer. But again, depending on what happens next, whether or not you're going to get counters or they're going to take highest and best, that's where you can put your buyers in a situation where they feel overwhelmed and now distressed knowing what the number is that they accepted. If we run into a situation where it's highest and best, this is it. I always like to guide my buyers and let them know, like, listen, our goal is to stick in an offer right now to where if you did not get accepted on this, you are comfortable going to sleep at night knowing you missed out on this number. And if you do get accepted on it, make sure you're comfortable going to sleep at night knowing this is your new monthly payment. And on the other side, like Aaron mentioned, if we are in a multi-counter situation, set the expectation in advance. This is where the number could go. Let's write again where we feel comfortable at. We know where we feel comfortable at is different than a low ball. Some people are like, let's just start low and then we'll work up from there. You can turn an agent off just as quick with a offer than anything else. There are agents who will purposely not call the bottom half back and only call the top 2 or 3. So again, when you come in, write where you're comfortable at, but also have respect for the seller and where the comps are at in the market.
Yeah. There's a difference between offer and offer. Like, I should have done this.
But 1 T and 2 T's.
Yeah. Gotta be careful.
But I think you guys nailed it. The goal with when I speak with buyers after we have identified the property is always to come up with a strategy that they feel comfortable with. But the goal is to get into the top 2 or top 3, right? We don't want to be the first one by a mile, right? We don't want to be 150, 200,000 over the highest offer. But we also don't want to be the lower bunch of the offers that they receive. So once we've spoken to the agent, we've gotten a good idea of how many offers they might expect. A good judgment on a good way to get a good judgment on how many offers they can get is by looking at how many disclosure views and downloads they've had. And then, during COVID, half of the disclosure views would turn into offers. Like, we'd get 40 disclosures, 20 offers, right? But now that ratio has come down significantly. So maybe with 40 offers, they get 4 to 6 offers, right? 40 views, they get 4 to 6 offers. So we guide our buyers that way. And then with each offer, what kind of comps are they looking at and what the top 2 offers could come in at, and see if that's a range they feel comfortable with. And that's usually the strategy we use to guide our buyers and make sure that, hey, the other side of the table, is that listing agent a highest and best kind of agent who's, once we've submitted our offer, he's not going to pick up my phone? Or is it someone that's like, hey, I'll just get back to everyone once I've received all the offers, I'll give everyone an opportunity? Then knowing that insight of how that agent on the other side deals with the negotiation process really helps buyers feel comfortable and guided through it, right? There's been multiple times where I've told my clients, like, hey, we need to go highest and best, but they're like, hey, can we start here? And I'm like, are you okay losing the house if we don't get a call back? Whether it's 10,000 higher than ours or 100,000 higher than ours, right? Is that number something that, if it sells for $1 more, you're okay to let go of the property? And they usually talk themselves back into another number, right? Or another strategy to go in with. So that guidance is really important during that phase.
I want to throw in just a quick step as well. What I like to do, and I know you guys like to do the same thing, when buyers become more serious about properties and locations, what I like to do in advance of seeing it, if I know going into it this might be the one, is to pull out the disclosures and look at it before going in. And I think this gives the buyers an opportunity to cross-check when they actually see the property. You know, most of the time in our market, a home will go up on a Thursday, you get 2 days of open houses, and then an offer is taken on a Tuesday. You know, so it's about a 6 to 7 day timeline of, you know, seeing a home and acceptance. It happens very quick. And a lot of the times when you see a home and then go through the disclosures, there's a time where you want to go back and check all the work. Going through the disclosures in advance, and buyers have the opportunity to do this most of the time, we're able to, again, cross-check any damages or repairs that were made, what issues are there still, how can we fix those when we go in and see it, the scope of the work. Also the insurance. A lot of the times properties out here with the new insurance rules, it's harder to get, and most people don't consider the small things. Now, you know, insurance companies are sending drones up in the sky and they're looking at patching on the roofs. They're looking at gutters. They're looking at, you know, the wildlife and nature around it. If your home's got wooden siding on it. So there's a lot of different items that I think can be brought up with buyers in advance to where once you get accepted on the home, and let's see, once you put in an offer, again, the goal is to go most of the time non-contingent, but once you get accepted on the offer, it makes that closing process, which I'm sure we'll talk about here soon, just smoother, because now you have all the information. You've already started preemptively working on the your insurance, your inspections. You know, you're going to have your pest guy come in once you close. Maybe you'll have people lined up for the pipes once you close, but just allows you to preemptively work and then plan for that money and timeline.
Okay, so now we're writing the offers. We get the offer accepted, and then, yeah, Ben teed up the last one. Okay, now offer is accepted. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited, kind of scared, kind of want to throw up, kind of want to celebrate. All the emotions are going to come. What happens next?
It's like a foreshadow. You know, we bring up everything that we just brought up from the beginning. Now it goes back to your lender. Your lender, who you're supposed to have this relationship with them, who's supposed to be working for you on your team. Now they start their process. Getting all the documentation, closing statements. Again, your insurance needs to start rolling out. You need to talk to your insurance provider and get that to provide to your lender. All the background work happens after you close, which is equally as important to have that team on your side and agents who can refer you people that you can speak to get all this happening.
And you're usually putting in 3%
Deposit.
That's going to lock you in.
Yeah. Another thing that we do during the setting expectations phase that I just remembered is on top of your down payment, which is usually 20% or more in our area, there's 1 to 2% closing costs that you need to factor in. And on top of that, if you're buying a single family home or any home in general, you need to factor in for repair costs, right? So you put aside another 1 to 2% of the purchase price typically for any deferred maintenance that you need to do in the house. So once your offer gets accepted and you are in this phase where you're trying to do the background work to make sure that everything closes, you get approved for the loan, and the appraiser gets a chance to go into the property, gets you an appraisal report to justify the valuation that you've paid in the purchase price. During that time, we're also trying to set you up with our vendors to come up with a plan for all the repairs and get you estimates and make sure that everyone's scheduled for just after close of escrow to take care of all of these things.
Yeah, I agree with Gene. I think, you know, it's very important that you have an understanding of how much things cost, and don't forget to add in the mortgage with the cost. I think a lot of people, you know, purchase home and they're like, oh, we had to spend $15,000 this month on the new roof. You also have your mortgage of $8,000 that you had to spend that month too. So when you're budgeting for this, take that into consideration. Don't just think, you know, we're going to fix this and that's it for the month. You also have your bills, you have your mortgage. You know, you got to plan it out. Depending on, you know, most of the time when a buyer purchases a home, their closing costs will cover that month's mortgage. So your first month's full mortgage won't be until usually the next month after that proceeding. For buyers who are renting a property or who own a home and their thought is, oh, I don't want to pay double mortgage, or I don't want to pay rent and mortgage, you do have about a 30-day buffer to where you can get out of that and then start paying. So again, when you're figuring out what items you want to do in the house, that 30-day buffer and gap is a great opportunity to get it done without having to pay the mortgage on top of that, which again, talk to your team, your financial advisor, your CPA, your lender, your agent, have this stuff planned out. Don't just go into the property thinking, it's butterflies and rainbows.
Yeah.
Always expect the unexpected.
Also, a lot of buyers' agents disappear during the escrow process. They get their offer accepted and then they never stop picking up the phones. So it's really important that the buyer's agent's on top of all parts of the process, right? When the appraiser is going on, when the deposit goes in, when the insurance gets finalized, when the appraiser is going to go into the property, making sure that you meet the appraiser during this process and guide them through how competitive it was or give them comps, right? Those things really help make sure that you have a smooth escrow process. And then once you sign off, doing the final walkthrough of the property, make sure that it's in the same condition as you first found it before you take possession of the house. So those kind of small things really help throughout the escrow process to ensure a smooth closing.
Amen. Well, yeah. Well, so if you're out there thinking about buying a house, hopefully, and you've never gone through the process, hopefully that's like a good, kind of high level overview of, what it looks like from the beginning to when you get your offer accepted to when you close on the house. And
Yeah.
And then once you're a client of ours, you get to come to all of our sweet events. And
That's right.
20 of them a year. It's sick.
Well, I actually wanted to, Aaron, you're buying a house. How was it different from guiding someone?
guys, this is where you join in with me.
Yeah.
Congrats, dude.
I had to
Congrats.
borrow 50 grand from
No, but you bought a.
Actually, here's a PSA per se. If you're
Public service announcement,
If you're taking
per se.
money out of an investment account, the transfer period is not very fast. I've never taken money out of like a Vanguard type of thing.
It's not instant.
No, it's like 5 to 7 waiting days before it hits your account, and I was like, oh well, I closed Monday. Jeet, I need help.
Quick buffer.
What's the question?
Well, how do you feel, and how is it different from like buying your flips that you've done in the past, and also like helping a buyer through the process versus yourself through the process? Like how different was it?
It's kind of weird knowing that like I'm gonna keep it, but I'm like ripping it down, right? So all you're really looking at is the street,
Yeah,
the neighborhood, the lot, like all the things that you can never change no matter what, right? So it's cool. I still get the normal feelings like everyone else, like, oh shit, I got accepted, I want to throw up, and is this the right decision? And it's totally normal, right? So
How was it for you when you submitted your deposit?
what do you mean?
Like your EMD, like you had to submit your EMD. Were you like, oh man, did you call escrow? You're like, I need you to walk me through this, confirm the numbers. I've probably gone through it, I don't know, 100 times with clients, and then when they asked me for mine, I
You mean
forgot
like the
every
instructions?
step. I forgot how to do it, how much money, where to go. I was like,
I
blacked out.
No, I did that from the golf course. I wasn't worried about that. I feel
nonchalant.
I was in the cart though, guys. I was sitting in the cart at least.
no. I feel like the weird part was like this was totally like my idea, and Sarah's just like along for the ride and trying to explain everything. I'm just like, oh my god. But
it's harder to explain it, I feel like, to your partner than it is to your buyer.
Yeah.
yeah,
you-
she's like, but wait, what? And I'm like, yeah, we're just ripping it down, okay? And she's like, but like, she's giving me money and I'm taking money from him, and I'm like, oh, this thing, this bank, but yeah, no, it was chaos.
Yeah. Well, when I got my offer accepted and I put the deposit in, no one had seen the place from my family. I took my dad and my girlfriend, now my fiance. But when I took them to the house, it was a hoarder house, right? So walking in, they were like, "Wait, you bought what?"
Yeah, I think that's the difference, because that's like my experience too. She's like so unexcited.
Yeah.
And our contractor's just like, does she even want that? And I'm like, so yeah, very similar to you. But
Yeah.
I think the difference for like even the three of us who have all bought in the last 2 years now is that they were all no-brainer deals. Does that make sense? Like none of us were ever like, hey, this is a bad deal.
Did you go into your house before? I didn't even walk into my house before I purchased it. Did you? Well,
I think I
Yeah.
Was it- yeah.
Well, I mean,
You
I
found
bought
the
it. And
syringe?
then
Yeah.
I bought it, got accepted, then went because I didn't want to be let down.
Yeah.
Because mine fell out of contract, and I was just like a random Tuesday, and I was like, oh, great, I got to buy it. It was like a dream street, you know?
It's funny too, because when we all purchased yours was a little different because yours was in the beginning of the year. But I purchased mine when I was on vacation for the 4th of July. I was I told Lauren, I was like, there's no way someone on the 4th of July is going to buy this home. Like the market's crushed right now. And then you purchased yours right around Thanksgiving where the market's absolutely crushed again.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you're a buyer listening to this, like don't necessarily wait to purchase. Like, get in the game now and start looking, because again, Christmas is around the
I
corner.
wasn't even
Like,
in the game. I said, oh,
but
gotta figure this out.
But with Christmas around the corner, like, if you don't think the market's going to be crushed here in the next week and a half, like, people are going to be on vacation. Like, if
There's going to be some good
like,
opportunities.
just take a look, see what's
There's
out
a
there.
lot of really good opportunity I noticed with condos and townhouses right now.
Yeah, I just
What do you think the appreciation difference is going to be from mid-December to mid-January? Same neighborhood, same home.
Like single family?
Single family.
I think it's going to be 5% more expensive in January.
January, I'd go 7% from now to February.
And this is what I mean. So buyers out there, like, if you want to
Depending on what the product is. Like, I think Books and NetNet same, Sunnyvale NetNet same.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's any property that I'm selling right now that would sell for more in January
Yeah.
or February.
I
I think it's very pocket driven.
yeah.
Yeah, but like, I mean, I just crushed another great price in Santa Teresa where we haven't seen a number that big since March of earlier this year. But I don't know. But I think just might be a little bumpy from here till March as far as like just chaos.
Yeah, and again, it doesn't cost money to look at homes. It doesn't cost money to get set up on searches. So
And-
if you are interested, yeah.
Before we wrap up, Redfin just came out and said that searches are a 4-year high, up 33% from this time last year for just like searching.
Yeah, they're searching for the homes that don't exist.
Yeah. And then we're also going to see websites start to pivot for the climate risk. I think Redfin has it on, Zillow has it on. It'll be like high flood zone or high fire zone, things like that. Sometimes they're off or different from what the actual insurance companies are looking at, so it's kind of wishy-washy. So I think Redfin, either one of the two, Redfin or Zillow, one of them took them
Zillow.
off. Yeah.
Yeah.
So don't always rely on that. You have a natural hazard disclosure when you do buy a house. If you are in a special flood zone, you'll have to carry flood insurance if you don't buy it cash. Fire zone, that's a whole nother thing. Ben's a full-blown expert with Jason at this point. Gee, I think you're probably an expert in it too. But that's a wrap.
Cool.
And for anyone who sees this coming out next week, we wish you a happy holiday season.
Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah. Merry
When does
Christmas.
Hanukkah start?
Sunday.
Sunday. Hence the blue.
Salam alaikum.
So we wish you guys all the
Mazel.
mazel. Do we have
Mazel.
another podcast before the year end?
Nah.
This might be it. Happy New Year. Thank you for 2025 and the support and love that you give all of us, and we hope for a phenomenal
And
2026.
and any of you guys that are attending, we'll see you at Fantasy of Lights tomorrow.
Yeah.
It'll be out already.
You,
Oh.
you
Jake, get this out quick.
Fantasy Lights was sick. You guys missed it.
Santa came to visit us in
And as always, who you work with matters.
Later.
2026.